This Sunday is the second Sunday in the season of Lent. And as we talked about last week with Ash Wednesday and with the first Sunday in Lent, here at St. John's we are choosing to see Lent as a time of renewal, of rebirth, and using the metaphor of the word Lent coming from the idea of the day's lengthening, Lent being springtime, not a time of penitence. And we'll start off our service with our opening hymn that expresses those themes very eloquently. Now quit your care and anxious fear and worry, by the Church of England clergyman Percy Dermer. Dermer was a revolutionary, really, in his time, reforming a lot of the liturgical life of Britain. And he really had this concept that Lent does not need to be about self-punishment or beating yourself up or wallowing in your sin and iniquities, but rather a time to encourage God's grace to come in. And so he wrote this text as a way to reimagine Lent. And he himself paired it with a French Christmas carol that is called Quitte Pastores. Very gentle and simple melody that really brings out the gentleness of the text. This Sunday is also the last Sunday in the month of February, Black History Month. And we will be doing a little bit to mark that as well. The organ prelude and postlude are both founded on tunes that are familiar to us from the spiritual tradition. And we'll be singing a few spirituals as well during the course of the service. At the sequence, we'll be singing that beloved spiritual, In Christ There Is No East or West. Sermon by our deacon, the Reverend Dr. Jerry Askew, will be using spirituals as a lens through which we can view our Lenten journey. And he was sort of inspired by this by Richard Rohr's Daily Meditations, an email that several of us get every day, where Richard Rohr has been also using texts from the spirituals as a way to sort of embark us on a Lenten journey. I invite you, if you're not familiar, if you don't receive those in your email inbox, to sign up for those. They're really, really wonderful things. The choir will also be singing some great tunes from a couple of different traditions. They'll be singing Steal Away, again, another spiritual, and then at communion they'll be singing Jesu, Grant Me This I Pray, which is musically about as far from that as you can get. It's a very staid kind of English tune, and yet it's a very gentle, again, in a nice, comforting way to imagine God's love for us during this time. This anthem starts off with this beautiful melody for the swell oboe, and it has this kind of nice lyrical dance. And then at the end of the service, we'll be singing O Day of Peace That Dimly Shines. And this is using the tune by the English composer C. Hubert H. Parry, known as Jerusalem, originally written for the words of William Blake, and did those feet in ancient times. And it sort of became a national hymn of Britain. And it's a very popular melody. It has this big, sweeping symphonic sound, and we're familiar in this country, especially from its use in the movie Chariots of Fire. So as opposed to using those words by William Blake, Carl Daw, the American and Episcopal priest, wrote these words that really talk about racial reconciliation and a day of peace, really hearkening and using as his inspiration the words of Dr. Martin Luther King. So we invite you to join us here at St. John's as we continue our Lenten journey and seeing new life springing about all around